So, you want to command the dead. You wish to summon the darkness. You wish to control limitless power. You want to become a necromancer. Well then, let me show you just that. Oi oi my drillers, it's your geezer Big Donny Cal here, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to play Necromancer. And this is my Necromancer Helvetia, which you may have seen under the tag Big Donny Cal or Calpika. Now you may be wondering, why should you trust me? Well, here's why. I am the 80th best Necromancer in the world. So, hopefully my advice will allow you to achieve so. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is these skills. Now, this skill set is what I tend to use mainly for my Paragon farming, and there's one slight change I will do for my push. So the passives will always stay the same. We want to run Grizzly Tribute for a little bit of a defensive option. Final Service, this is a second life, so you know we can get procced and we still have a chance to do things really. And then there's Dark Reaping, we get Essence back when we kill things. Then there is Overwhelming Essence, this increases our maximum Essence by 40, which is really important, and I'll get into that when we talk about gear. Now, as for main abilities, on my left click I like to use Simulacrum Reservoir, which increases my maximum essence by 100%. As I say, maximum essence is very important, and I'll tell you more about that when we get into gear, more specifically what's in our cube. My right click, I like to have Command Skeleton's Frenzy. This just increases the attack speed, which will allow more cooldown reduction on our Army of the Dead, which is our big ability. But we'll get into that a bit more in a minute. Now we've got Bone Armor. Dislocation. Not only does Bone Armor provide us more defensive options, allowing us to get up to about 30% damage reduction, but Dislocation Rune also stuns everything hit, which will go really well with our Bane of the Trapped and Crispin Sentence. More of our gear. Now, I use the Army of the Dead Death Valley. If you haven't guessed already, this is the physical build. It's the build you're going to see played most often by Rathma Army of the Dead Necromancers. Death Valley is really good because it groups everything together and it does huge physical damage. Very, very, very powerful. Now, for speed farming, I like to use Blood Rush Potency, because it's an ability that's very easy to keep on cooldown, and it gives us a little bit of armor, plus a bit of extra mobility. But when I am pushing, I will tend to go and swap to Command Golem Flesh Golem. That is because you can keep this on cooldown for much longer. Then also at the start of a rift, you can blow this guy up, get some corpses, and revive them with our next ability, Revive Personal Army. This one is very important because we get a 10% damage reduction, plus we get extra damage, which we also get from our golem, which I will explain in the gear section of this video. And now, here is the gear section of this guide. So first I am going to start off with our Kanai's Cube. We want in our weapon slot for Relic and a Shadow Hook. Every point of maximum essence increases your damage by 0.5%, which makes the increase of maximum essence from your Simulacrum and your passive ability Overwhelming Essence increase your damage by quite a bit. Then for our armor piece, we want Fate's Vow. Army of the Dead deals an additional 250% damage and gains the effect of the unconventional Warfare Rune. This basically means that our main cooldown that nukes screens at a time will deal so much more damage. It is insane. Combine that with crit damage amps and you are looking at crits in the quadrillions. Now, we also want the Ring of Royal Grandeur to reduce the amount of set items that we need to wear in order to get set bonuses. This is key because we benefit off of 2 sets using the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Of course, we do have a 3rd set, but it doesn't benefit. So, what are these sets? I'm just going to go over the first set that doesn't benefit, which is using the Jessup Skull Scythe and the Jessup Skull Shield. It has the Jessup's Arms set. When your target of a command skeleton dies, your skeletons will be commanded to a new target, and while your skeletons are commanded to attack a target, you deal 400% increased damage. So what you want to do is you want to command your skeletons to attack a target, and when they are attacking that target, your damage will increase. But you don't have to keep commanding them because of the first part of a 2-set bonus. That when you kill their commanded target, they're going to go and fight something else instead, which means you're spending much less essence, and you should be able to stay on full essence for practically the entire rift. Now, the next set I'm going to talk about is the Rathma set. On our 2 set, your permanent minions reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead by 0.5 seconds each time they deal damage, which is why the increased attack speed on our skeletons is so pog. Every time they hit, that's 0.5 seconds taken off your cooldown. Plus, your revived minions do not expire. Very, very pog. This means that we can keep the amount of minions we have alive forever. We keep that 10% damage reduction and much more. Your minions no longer take damage as part of your 4 set, and you get 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds every time your minions deal damage up to a maximum of 75 stacks. That is crazy high and will allow you to stay alive for a bit more than what you'd be without it, really. It's very, very good. For our 6th set, each permanent active minion increases your damage for Army of the Dead by 1,750% up to 31,500%, which means we can have 18 minions up to get the maximum benefit when we get 7 minions from our command skeletons, 10 minions from our revived personal army, and then we can get the 18th minion from our command golem flesh golem. That flesh golem will be the 18th minion. Now, the last set we use is the Captain Crimson set, as we get life regen, 20% cooldown reduction, 20% resource cost reduction, an increase in damage done by the percentage of your cooldown reduction, and reduction of damage taken by the percentage of your resource cost reduction, which is very big. Now, as for our legendaries, we got a Crispin Sentence, which allows you to deal increased damage against slowed enemies and triple the blue number against any other control impairing effects, which is why Bone Armor Dislocation is so powerful, because it provides an AoE stun which allows you to get the triple damage benefit from our Crispin Sentence. Then we also want Convention of Elements, which gives us a percentage increase to a single element for 4 seconds. Now, this means we only have 3 cycles as a Necromancer. We have, in this order, Physical, Poison, then Cold. On our physical rotation, that is when we're going to be bursting, as our Army of the Dead, as you can see, is physical with the Death Valley rune. This will allow us to deal huge amounts of damage. Then we have the Bonds of Selena. Now, this means our Army of the Dead deals a percentage of increased damage, and this bonus is doubled for the target of your command skeletons, which means when you get that big elite pack, you command your skeletons on that yellow guy, and boom, double damage on that yellow guy. Everything else around it, of course, has less health and will get nuked pretty nicely. It allows you to really focus down on the target you are trying to kill. Now, I like to play with the Haunted Visions Amulet, as this allows your Simulacrum to be up permanently. So instead of using your Simulacrum for a burst, you can just keep it up for the entire rift. Now, you can also opt to drop Convention of Elements for a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and instead of having the ring in the cube, you'll put the Squirt's necklace in the cube, or you could put Haunted Visions in the cube and wear a Squirt's necklace, depending on how good your rolls are. But this will allow you to have more consistent damage. You just don't get the burst you'd get from your physical convention of elements cycle. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is our gems and legendary gems and our soul shards. So the gems we want to use are, of course, Topaz Intelligence gems. Our legendary gems we want are Bane of the Trapped. This increases our damage through crowd control, which is very great with Crispin Sentence. We want Zystone of Vengeance because we deal more damage the further we are away from a target. Of course, the maximum damage will usually be less than your Oculus Ring, but it also gives us a 20% chance on hit to stun the enemy, which is amazing with our Bane of the Trapped and Crispin Sentence. Then we also want to be using the Gogok of Swiftness, as it increases our attack speed, our dodge, and our cooldown reduction for 15 stacks, which is really, really good. It all goes hand in hand in increasing our cooldown reduction, as the attack speed means our minions hit more, reduce our cooldown due to the set bonus, and we get more dodge, more defensive. Now, as to our soul shards, in our helmet we want the Sliver of Terror. We would preferably want intelligence on this, and we want the tier 3 bonus that increases our attack speed and critical hit chance by 5% for each skill on cooldown. Also know that your cooldowns are increased by 25%. For every skill on cooldown, you take 12.5% reduced damage and deal 12.5% increased damage. So you want to be keeping all your skills on cooldown to get the most out of this soul shard. The other soul shard we are going to be using, which in our weapon, is the Essence of Anguish. We want to get physical skills deal increased damage. So I've got 23%. Maximum you can get 25%. Now, you can opt to use the Poison Tier 3 bonus. I prefer the Death Blow bonus. When you kill an enemy, the Fatal Blow is done as an AoE effect, but your pets and followers cannot trigger this. So your Army of the Dead has to do that killing blow. But that could mean you could be sending an AoE wave of 1 quadrillion out to an entire pack, which is huge damage. Then also note that every time you do poison damage to an enemy, you increase your cooldown reduction and movement speed by 2.5%, and your damage receives increased by 5% for 10 seconds. So you really want this cooldown reduction, so you are going to want to get poison damage on your weapon so that you can get this stacked up and get your cooldown reduction. So now we are going to cover your stat priority and your augments. The augments you want to run with are, of course, intelligence augments. You want to sacrifice a tier 3 soul shard with a flawless royal topaz for 625 intelligence. Of course, later on you can sacrifice your 150 gems that you'll get from farming. And then your stat priorities are going to start off with cooldown reduction. I have just under 55%, which allows me to get an Army of the Dead off very comfortably within every single convention cycle, which is very nice. Then you want to amp up your physical damage, which you can get on stuff like your Bonds of Selena and your Haunted Visions. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my Haunted Visions, though. And then you want to be amping up your critical hit damage and your critical hit chance, as this will exponentially increase the damage that you are going to be dealing with your Army of the Dead bursts. After that, you want to be increasing your area damage, as Army of the Dead is an area of effect ability. Then finally you want to increase your intelligence, and the last stat you want is your attack speed. You only really want to get it to 1.6 attacks per second. That's the optimal way to go about things. I've got it a little bit too high, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Still means I'm doing big damage. Also, just want to quickly cover defensive stats. Of course, you want vitality, armor, all resist, and life percentage. It's not a priority because you are a glass cannon build. You are going to take big damage, but the main key thing for defensives is that you want to at least have 800,000 life, and where you have gear with defensive rolls, ideally you'd want something like intelligence, vitality, armor, like what I've got on my chest piece here. However, life percentage is very nice, as you can see I don't have to put much points into vitality because I have the life percentage. I can still put a lot of points into intelligence. Now, the last part of today's video, I'm going to kind of show you the playstyle. I'm just going to hop into a Nephilim Rift here. My build isn't really perfect for it, but we start off, we use our Simulacrum, we go and find some enemies to attack, we command our skeletons, we can blood rush in, get our bone armor dislocation, army of the dead, and look at that. Huge damage, very big. We also want to be reviving our 10 minions as soon as possible. I forgot to do that because I'm a bit of a numpty. But yeah. Ideally, throughout the course of a Rift, we'd like to be keeping our four cooldowns, as previously mentioned, on cooldown for the maximum bonus we can get out of our Sliver of Terror. Now, I'm not really going through this Nephilim Rift that fast because I don't really farm Nephilims on this. You can go over to my stream and watch me farming 121s for Paragon farming. Usually we do, at worst, about a sub 4 minute clear. And yeah, this build is very potent for just about any purpose. I'd strongly recommend it. And yeah, that is all for the guide today. I know it's been a bit of a lengthy video, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are able to progress within the season and maybe give me some competition on my build. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!